Good morning, church family. Good morning. It's good to be here this morning. What a great band, huh? How about it? Well, I guess I drew the short straw, so I'm going first. Larry, Ron, and myself are going to go over some of the highlights from last year and talk a little bit about next year. But before I got started, I wanted to give you just a brief biography on how I got to the Methodist Church. I was born into the Methodist Church in a little rural town of Weldon, Illinois, a farming community. And mainly as a child, I went to the United Methodist Church in Weldon, Illinois. When I went off to college, I kind of fell away from the church a little bit, and I stayed away for a while. It wasn't until I met a good woman and the birth of my son, Luke Lockhart, that we came back to Grandview about 10 years ago. We were married in the old Grandview Church on Grandview Avenue, and we attended the contemporary worship session that they had off-site for a while, and then we landed here. So my family and I feel welcome here. Like Kim was talking about early, we had open arms put out to us when we came, and we're happy and grateful that we're in this church family. In August of 2011, the leaders of the church gathered to brainstorm our priorities at Grandview. Out of that meeting, our priorities were identified. Our task as leaders was to put our energy, focus, and resources on those priorities. We felt, our hope was that the leaders on the same page could travel further faster as a collective group. Our priorities last year were: continue doing high-quality, meaningful worship, make the administration of the church more efficient, move people forward in their spirituality, move more people in spirit, in service through ministry and mission, get the youth group revived and alive, and minimize financial burdens and worries. Let's talk about how we did on worship. High-quality worship that we have here does not happen by accident. We invest time, talents, and lots of attention to this very important part of Grandview. It starts with our spiritual leader, Tom. Reverend Tom places a high value on our worship celebrations. He uses any and all resources to bring us relevant, passionate, honest, and sometimes what I would call raw nerve messages. I particularly like how Pastor Tom challenges me from the pulpit to grow spiritually. However, Tom cannot do it alone. We have folks in the AV booth that provide sound and light. Hospitality folks provide smiles and treats. Ushers and greeters open doors, extend hands, and count money. Our awesome praise band, led by Tony Brown, provides music to lift our hearts. There are many staff and volunteers that work behind the scenes each week to make this great celebration happen. There's quite a buzz in this place on Sunday morning. The spirit and energy are contagious. This year, we purchased a new high-quality video camera, and we're taping every sermon. We also have a really cool, easy-to-navigate web page. If you haven't been there, Google Grandview United Methodist Church, click on it. We have previous and present sermons on there, as well as up-to-date current information. You know, this week somebody had mentioned that a couple of the sermons were not up to date. I just want to, first of all, say we need help in that department. We've got one or two people that only are the people to help out, Chris Myers, and the other lady's name is Becky, is that correct? They help out. We could use help there. One of the reasons we're a little bit behind is because, you know, Chris has a full-time job, he's going to school, and he does this. So I'd like a special shout out to Chris Myers. Thank you very much. We have been talking about getting a web page since the internet started, and it's always been somebody's cousin or brother is going to do it, and maybe we'll put some time into it. The team has done it, led by Chris Myers, and I just think it's amazing. These sermons can be viewed by shut-ins, snowbirds, and more importantly, potential people that we know are searching for churches in different ways now. They go to the internet. We're now in that space. Good job. So have we continued doing high quality, meaningful worship? As my grandmother would say, the proof is in the pudding. Yes, we are, and we will continue to keep this as a top priority at Grandview. Administrative efficiency. At the beginning of 2012, we combined our trustees, staff parish, finance, and ad boards into a single board. This new model was designed to make communication and all areas of the decision-making process more efficient. The leaders making decisions have all the information around one table. The new single board is working well. However, we are still in the first year, so we're making adjustments as we go. In other words, we're not perfect. However, I can tell you from a person who sat in many mind-numbing church meetings night after night after night, it is a welcome relief to have fewer meetings where more is getting done. So, did we make the administration more effective and efficient? Yes, we did. At the Charge Conference the other night, the pastor told us that they want us to have a workshop. We're scheduled to have a workshop on the single board model and how it's working. Other churches want to know what we're doing. He also told us that we are on the very front edge of the cusp of United Methodist churches doing things a different way. And he knows that because we are growing. Let me back up just a little bit. I did miss one thing. I got a little excited. I wanted to talk about our celebration here. This year, we're averaging 360 people in attendance each week at all three services. That is up from 191 just 3 short years ago. That's an 88% increase. Last year alone, we grew 20%. And if you haven't noticed, they're bringing in chairs, folks. We used to have 6 or 8 tables set up all the way around the edge and plenty of room. Now we're packing them in all the way back. So awesome job. Now let me find my place back here. Okay, we are at Ministry and Missions. You know, at Grandview, I really feel in my bones, and I see this, we're blowing up this space. What I mean by that is we're moving towards ministry and mission at light speed. I'm very excited to see how far we have come this year and where we are going. Cell groups. The first cell groups were started a little over a year ago. There were 20 people. It was a 10-week trial. Now we have 90 people in 11 different cell groups meeting every single week in and out of these rooms. These are important small groups. These important small groups are now part of our church's fabric. They're part of our DNA, if you will. They are allowing people to connect on a deeper level to one another and to God. Christian education. I'm happy to report that every single Sunday morning, every single room in this building is filled with Christian education. And that includes the furnace room upstairs in the attic and the laundry room. So I don't know where we're going to meet next. Maybe the coat room. Hope it's a small group. Terry Nichols leads this talented and committed group of teachers and helpers to foster and educate our next generation. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Sunday school teachers. We have 3 adult Sunday school classes, an XYZ, a men's group, and a Daniel study. We also have a brand new 18 to 30-year-old young adult group, and I believe they're the ceiling dwellers. I think they're the attic dwellers up there. Child development ministry. That happens Monday through Friday every week here at 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Over 160 kids are under the care of our staff led by Brandy Quaddy and our very own Sue Miller. The kids are taught using Christian Montessori programs. We pride ourselves as having one of the best child care centers in the area. The UMW. The UMW does a lot of great ministry and mission in and out of these walls. For instance, last week, they provided a funeral lunch for family and friends who have recently passed. The UMW puts on the holiday fair and sponsors or contributes many ministries as well as missions in and out of the church. Thank you, UMW. Our member care team is led by our very own Kim Myers, who is leading us this morning. Kim is diligently working to putting systems and processes in place so that nobody falls through the cracks. Her team does work like visit shut-ins, deliver communion, deliver food, and other things. I've been told by many people that Kim is truly a joy to work with, and I'm quite confident that this team will flourish in her loving hands. I just want to say I'm really proud of Kim, and I think she's growing. And I can't think of anybody in my church family I would rather have than Kim Myers. Come check to see how they're doing. And I mean that. Social Ministries led by Tammy Wood. The Social Ministries brings events like the annual picnic that we have, the camping trip that we've done, and other fun things around the church. If you like to have fun, join the group, help them out, or at least please bring your family to these celebrations. They're lots of fun. The youth group. How about it? The previous couple of years, our youth group had kind of fizzled. And the kids were not connected, we were not involved, and we were kind of in a transition period. We made this a priority. However, I really wasn't convinced because we've been talking about this for 2 or 3 years. I was just thinking, well, we got to put it on the list because, of course, our kids are a priority. And I remember Art Miller, we were talking, and we said, well, we need to hire somebody. And Art Miller said, we don't necessarily need to hire somebody. We need to have people that are engaged with the kids, that kids really relate to and that are passionate about it. Well, this last year or so, a little longer, we have had exactly that happen. Young adult leaders have stepped up and infused a passion and an energy into this group. They devoted their time and the talents. They put their rubber on the road. I want to recognize them. I want them to stand up because we have Dawn Adkins, Beth Meyer, Jennifer Gladden, Corey Hartek. Give them a round of applause. And others. We've got some older people helping out too. No, thank you very much to everybody. And there's people that I didn't mention that I know are out there also. I am happy to inform you that our youth group is alive and well. We have over 20 kids active and engaged in this growing ministry. And we have a whole village of children that are on the cusp of going into this group. And for me personally, this will remain a very top priority. You see all the kids in these rooms. Tom doesn't even do the ministry to the children anymore because the number was so high. These are our future leaders. I'm glad we're investing in them. Thank you for making it happen. All of the ministries that I just reviewed do not happen by accident. They are by design. Our Council on Ministries team meets once per month. The leaders of each ministry report, plan, collaborate, and tweak their ministries to be even better. This team is led by Laura Roussel and has done an outstanding job of growing virtually every ministry in this church. I'm happy to report that, yes, we are moving people deeper spiritually through all our ministries. Now, as we move on, just this week, we received some, if you don't know, we've adopted a village in Nigeria, Damka. And the mission group that is starting to work on this is called Damka Matters. You want to roll? We've got some pictures on those. This is their original altar. It's under a tree. This is where they worship before they had any kind of a structure. We're going to roll right along through these. This is their first original church. It looks like a chicken coop from our farm. The inside of it, the next one you'll see the church that was built around that. You can see the structure inside. Somebody made a generous donation in this church to put a roof on that. So that is in the process. The money has been sent, and things are in the works for a roof to get built. I'm assuming the last one was their worship celebration. They were in their Sunday best. These are God's beautiful children that are there in the village of Damka. Damka is a village of about 200. transportation for Tom when he gets over there. There is a mission group that meets that is in the process of planning a trip there. They're also planning everything around what it takes to help support this village. More to come on that, but we had those, so we wanted to bring those in. In closing, I wanted to say that we have set new priorities for 2013. We do this because it helps us plan our work. It helps us fulfill our mission of making more disciples. It also helps us become something that Reverend Tom has shared the vision with us, a healthy, relevant church. This is what we do here. Like Reverend Tom says, we are not a cruise ship or a country club. We are a hospital ship. We, the administrative board, continue to have a high degree of confidence going forward that we can set the mark even higher and get out of the way and let God do the work. We're kind of like the band that was up here earlier. When that happened, it struck me, if we're not all tuned, if we're not on the same tune, we stop, we reset. That's why we have meetings. That's why we check each other's plans. We retune ourselves to make sure that we're focused on what our priorities are. We just got to get out of the way and let God do his work. We are truly blessed here at Grandview. We have signs of life at every single turn, and we have a lot to be proud of. Thank you, and we're going to listen to Larry. He's going to come on up and let us know how we're doing on our finances, see if we can make it happen.
Thank you, Eric. So again, as Eric mentioned, my name is Larry Berquist, and I'm wanting to talk to you a little more about what's been going on here at Grandview and what we need to do in the future, and hopefully build some confidence. So yes, as we get to this time of year and we reflect on what to be thankful for and then make plans, it's easy, you know, as we look at our wall here, to love God. Yes, in 2012. Yes, in 2013. And yes, we want to get better at that. Love others. Absolutely. That's something that we do. We're good, and we're going to get better at. Serve the world. Right? It's a tougher question. It is every year, right? When I'm asked this, sometimes I find myself sounding a little bit like my daughters. Ava's out here and Lauren, right? And when I ask them if they've cleaned their room or done their chores, sometimes I hear, well, yes, Dad, I know you wanted me to do that. And yes, that's but, right? In fact, I think there's a word in the dictionary. I'm looking for it, but it's a yeah, but word. So often we hear that in response. I was going to, but. It kind of reminds me of one of our favorite worship celebration videos, you know, where the guy talks about all the buts. Do you remember that? Okay. So often following that but is something about time or money. So I want to take the next few minutes and talk about the money. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so for 2013, can anybody read that number? $565,000, receiving generous gifts from God. It's a big number. Can we do that? I want you to know that Grandview has a plan for each of those dollars. And as Eric mentioned, we have priorities. So if the giving is more than anticipated, or if unexpected things happen, we will move forward. Okay? But we do want to use those generous gifts to God to drive down the line of credit, reduce our mortgage, continue to have the high-quality worship celebration and ministries, and we aspire to wildly grow our ministry work. So recognizing the but, claiming the but. It is a lot of money, can we? Right? A recent Sunday school lesson referenced Joshua 1, 6 through 9. Joshua was the son of assistant to Moses. Moses had just passed away, and God is communicating with Joshua as he is being commanded to lead the Israelites across the Jordan back to the promised land. Again, God speaking to Joshua. Be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. I also have a movie clip that was powerful. It is a little dark, so we'll ask that the lights be lowered. Okay. It comes to us from, it uses some visual imagery from Indiana Jones, and he's about to take a step into what appears to be a huge gorge.
Will walk by faith, well, even when I cannot see it. Well, because this broken road prepares your will for me. Well, I will walk by faith, well, even when I cannot see. Oh, well, because this broken road prepares your will for me.
I hope you remember that or go out and watch it again. So now, knowing we should go forth and serve the world, and knowing God wants us to be strong and courageous as we lead people through mission to be in a relationship with God, can we build the confidence to minimize our butts? Perhaps we can do this by reviewing what has brought us to this place and point in time. How did we get here, right? As always is the case, we do that by standing on the shoulders of the many Methodists and Christians before us. Thought I'd go through just a little bit of history. (1833), the first church west of the Mississippi. Does anybody know where it was? Right here in Dubuque, Iowa. It was a Methodist church. And then in 1870, a small group separated from that congregation and moved to the mission field. Started what we recognize as this Grandview congregation, and built a small Union prayer house that became known as the Little White Church up on the hill. They quickly outgrew that and built another church at Delhi and Grandview. And in 1828, built a yet larger church at 419 North Grandview. Wow. Talk about strength and courage to build a new church during the Great Depression. Brings us to 2020. 2003. And perhaps you were part of the move to this site. Can we set sail to take on new missions and new missions in new mission fields? It's certainly in our DNA. Will 2013 be a year that is notable in Grandview? Let us continue to build our confidence and minimize the buts. If you know me, you know I'm an engineer and I couldn't do a presentation without a graph. But on display here is the generous gifts to God from you over the last, from 2009. So if you look at the chart here, 2009 is listed here in green, 2010, 2011. Here is where we're at on 2012 with 7 Sundays to go. Okay? And you can see we're right on plan. And certainly if you look at our behavior in the past, we may drive ourselves up above plan. But we have set our plan for 2013 to be that $565,000, right? It's approximately a 10% increase over our plan for 2012. I say approximately because we don't know where we will end this year. We have the charts with our plan and a high confidence number for where we'll be. But in these next 7 weeks, will we exceed our plan? Maybe that's not such a stretch. Maybe we will stretch some more and bring in some more activities, missions, and ministries for next year. Okay? But certainly, I hope you agree that it's a reasonable plan for 2013. A little cause for celebration on 2012. Our mortgage balance history is shown. Perhaps you recall some of the events along the way. It certainly has not always been easy. Okay? 2012 marks a great year. Our mortgage principal and interest crossed underneath the $1 million mark. Okay? And perhaps this next bit will have some more applause too. So, in fact, year to date, we have also reduced our line of credit by $55,500 while continuing to reduce our mortgage and meet our financial requirements that go hand in hand with our ministry and mission goals. So, thank you. Our congregation has grown in numbers and maturity. We are strong. We should be confident. So recapping our finance plan. Yes, the plan for gifts, generous gifts from God, or to God from you, $565,000. Yes, we will drive our line of credit down to 0. We can, confident we can. Reduce the mortgage. Yes, confident we can. High quality worship and ministry. Confident we can. Grow mission work. Yes, Lord, we will with your help. Recall that God said, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." So I'm going to turn it over to Ron Turner now. He's our lay leader and also a member of the ad board, and he will continue the story.
Thank you, Larry. We're going to move from butts to boats now. Some years ago, Grandview United Methodist Church began building a boat. This boat was built by craftsmen, apprentices, helpers, and helpers with special gifts. It would be just big enough to carry the folks who were willing to go out, sail out around the lake, and to do ministry with the people they would meet along the shore. Some folks were hesitant, though, not knowing about boat building or boating in general, and some were just basically afraid of the water. But with life jackets on board for just about everybody, fire extinguishers, and some other basic supplies, the little boat set sail to do ministry along the shoreline of the lake. Using their God-given gifts and talents and resources, the crew and passengers fed the hungry and provided clothing and shelter for those in need. Over the years, the little boat became battered from rough waves and rocky shores. The dedicated crew was tired, and the faithful passengers were fading. With each new set of the sail, the anchor seemed to get heavier and heavier, while the need to get supplies to the hurting became greater and greater. One early summer day, a new captain came to Grandview. This captain had some new ideas for the crew, and with some new enthusiasm and encouragement, they began to rebuild the little boat. More boat builders and craftsmen and apprentices and helpers got involved. The little boat needed to be re-engineered to be more seaworthy. The anchor was resized, the supply areas expanded and reoriented for better buoyancy. The engine was tuned up to be more efficient. The rudder was adjusted to remove the slack so a more definite course or direction could be maintained. As the boat began to take shape, other curious folk began to take notice. They also wanted to be a part of the boat and help build it. Fresh new ideas came forth. Additional cabins were added for supplies and for passengers, crew members, and power sources. This boat rebuilding project evolved into a much bigger vessel, more like a ship. People worked long hours finishing the ship. Crew members were trained to operate the equipment. Navigation maps were studied. Destination ports were plotted out. Passengers seeking tickets have studied the ports of call and have determined what ministries they will do when they arrive. Everyone is excited. The ship is ready to leave the dock. We have constructed a big ship. It is ready to head out. Are you ready to get on board? Don't worry about whether you have packed every little possible thing for the journey. Other passengers on board will share with you. If you feel ill along the way, we have a nursing station with resources to help you get better. But don't miss the boat. Join a cell group. Participate in a specific ministry. Reach out in your church, in your neighborhood, in the nation, and in the world. Put your God-given talents to work as we all join to build the kingdom of Jesus Christ, starting right here, right now, as soon as you walk out the doors of this building. All aboard! There is a life jacket and a lifeboat for everybody. Trust the builder. Have faith in the journey. Let the master take you there. This is the great adventure. Please join this great adventure as God calls you. Thank you, and may God bless you and Grandview United Methodist Church in the journey. Now, this Sunday before Thanksgiving, let us take time to reflect and give thanks in prayer. Oh God, what a blessing.